Okay. Going back to the British era, what did we see then? For you people to know this, talking about the railway lines were introduced by the Britishers inside the country. So during the times of Britishers, India had the fourth largest railway networks in the world. Above all, talking about these railway lines, the first railway line, it began from Mumbai to Thane. And above all, talking about these railways, there used to be four types of compartments which were being seen in that. Just give me a minute. So, talking about the British era, the railway lines which used to be there during the times of Britishers, it used to have four kinds of compartments. Means there were four kinds of compartments for which you can buy the tickets as per your financial status. सो यहाँ पे तुम्हारे पास कितना पैसा है उस हिसाब से तुम अपना कंपार्टमेंट डिसाइड कर सकते हो उसकी टिकट्स बाय कर सकते हो एंड देन यू कैन एंटर दैट रेलवे कंपार्टमेंट so there were four kinds of compartments. The first one used to be the first class compartment. The second class compartment was the second one. First class compartment के सबसे ज्यादा पैसे लगाए जाते थे and usually only Britishers and the whites were allowed to buy that ticket. फिर होता था second class compartment where we see that the upper Indian classes, the elite classes from India, Indians, they could usually buy the tickets for the second class compartment. The third one used to be the interclass compartment, and at the end, the fourth one used to be the third class compartment. So the third class compartment was being completely discarded. Third class compartment, Azadi mil jane ke baad, we had one of our railway minister, her name was Madhu Danwate. So in the year 1978, when the railway budget was being passed, here we see that she removed this third class compartment and the inter-class compartment from our railways because it used to usually, bifurcate us Indians in the name of the financial status, in the names of our religion. So it was a very negative attitude in which the third class people were being seen. So we then see that there were no class divisions being seen in the entire railway. And for that reason, there were two railways which had been started then. The first one was the Sanagad Express and the second one was Gitanjali Express. ये दो trains को फिर शुरू करवाया गया था from Mumbai, from Pune to Mumbai and then from Mumbai to Kolkata. जहाँ पे कोई भी class distinction नहीं होता था. Anybody could buy any ticket and then they could just enter inside the train. So this was a very good move which had been made after independence. So usually we see that the racial discrimination which used to be done during the times of Britishers, that has been completely stopped in India now. Moving ahead, talking about the restaurants, again during the times of Britishers, talking about restaurants which used to be there in India, again on the basis of your caste, color, creed, and religion, it was decided whether you can go inside that restaurant or not. In fact, there were few of the restaurants in South India, especially, जहाँ पे restaurants के बाहर ही लिखा जाता था that the dogs and the Indians are not allowed inside that restaurant. This shows the amount of racial discrimination which used to be done in India. But all thankfulness after post-independence period, now anybody, irrespective of your caste, color, creed, and religion, you can go inside any restaurant, you can go ahead and you can enjoy yourselves over there. Okay. So that this is all about it in this paragraph. Moving ahead with the next one, we see that for a very long time, when the Britishers used to be there in India, we see that कि जब भी Britishers India में होते थे, there used to be newspapers. So again, all thankfulness to the Britishers, they at least brought newspapers to India. They brought news houses to India. For example, talking about the Times of India, it is almost 178, 79 years old by now. It had been started by Britishers in India. Many other newspapers been started by Britishers in India which still survive here in India today. उसके अलावा हम देखते हैं कि बहुत सारे Arman from DN Nagar, he's saying it's since 1972. No, it's even before that. Go and check it out once. So, apart from Times of India, there were many other news houses which were pan-Indian and it had been started in India. जो Indians ने ही शुरू किए थे. For example, it was Amrit Bazar Patrika. Then we had many other news houses such as The Statesman, The Pioneer, The Hindu. ये newspapers आज भी इंडिया में चलते हैं. If you go to North India, you can. One second. Okay. I guess the lecture has just got clashed with some other subject. One second. Okay. So, talking about the news houses, there were many such news houses which had been started in India. So, there were many newspapers across India which had been started during the times of Britishers, but they still survive in India today, till date. बट प्रॉब्लम ये था कि ब्रिटिशर्स के जमाने में जब ये न्यूज़पेपर्स इंडिया में चलाए जाते थे देयर वाज अ स्ट्रिक्ट यू नो regulation which had been kept on those news houses that by any chance if these newspapers if they print anything against the britishers then this would go against the laws and those news houses would be shut then तो ऐसे मीडिया में जहां पे तुम्हें एक्सप्रेस करने की आजादी ना हो या तुम्हारी सरकार के ट्रू कलर्स तुम्हारे लोगों के सामने दिखाने की आजादी ना हो तो फिर फॉर श्योर दिस शोज दैट देयर इज अ लैक ऑफ फ्रीडम ऑफ स्पीच एंड एक्सप्रेशन all thankfulness to the era after independence that now we have the freedom of speech, we have the freedom of expression. If you're not happy with your government, if you're not happy with the candidates that you have chosen for election, then for sure, if they do not perform well after being elected and after winning the elections, you can for sure speak against them. You can for sure print against them. You can for sure speak against them. You can for sure even print against them in the newspapers and even on news channels. Okay. So by now we have got the freedom of speech and expression. All thankfulness to our Indian constitution, which allows us to do all that. Coming down to the institution of family. Now, talking about the pre independence period during the times of Britishers, India was a land of joint families. It was been known in the world by that. We used to have a group of families of almost 15 people, 20 people, and even 40 people at a time. However, after independence with modernization, in India now we see a proper nuclear family setup. We see a nuclear family setup wherein there are hardly 4 people to 6 people in a family living together now. All thankfulness to modernization and globalization and India coming in touch with the other countries and more of modernization and westernization that we see inside the country. Okay. Next, we'll move ahead with a term called as social welfare. सोशल वेलफेयर सोशल का मतलब होता है सोसाइटी वेलफेयर का मतलब होता है doing good for the society. It's just uplifting the society. It's maximum happiness for the maximum number of people. So talking about the Indian Constitution, जब भी हम हमारे इंडिया के संविधान की बात करते हैं, which is the law book of India, द मेन एम इंडिया की सरकारें हर 5 साल के बाद बदलती है आफ्टर एवरी 5 years we see that the government of India keeps on changing. But what does our constitution actually tell to this government? It says that the ultimate goal of any government, एक अल्टीमेट गोल किसी भी सरकार का जो इंडिया में सरकार फॉर्म होती है चाहे वो बीजेपी की हो या कांग्रेस की हो The main aim of any government inside the country which will be formed, the main aim of that government is to attain a welfare state. That is, they are supposed to do the best for this country. They are supposed to see maximum number of happiness for the maximum number of people. Okay. So, looking at the social welfare, we see that we have given opportunities for full time employment. हम देखते हैं कि लोगों को ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग वो employed रहे for a full time employment. They get proper healthcare facilities. At least they get a free medical aid for those people who are below poverty line. People in India, especially in between the age group of 6 to 14, they should get a free education throughout the country. And above all, we also see development of all the citizens who are there inside the nation. We see that India has been seen a country as a country with economic inequality, social inequality, educational inequality, even the cultural inequality. इन सब चीजों को पूरा करने के लिए there are only four ways in which you can do that. When you reach out to the women, you reach out to the children, and you reach out to the disabled people, or you reach out to the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes, जब तुम इन लोगों को ऊपर लाने की कोशिश करते हो, that is the only time wherein you see that you can attain a welfare state, you can attain a better society at the end of the day. Now here this part is important. ये पूरे paragraph में ये objective question है. So on 14th of June 1964, if you go to see, 14th of June 1964, India के cabinet ministry में one more ministry had been added, which is called as the Ministry of Social Welfare. It sees through it that the welfare of the people and the country is being achieved inside the country. So again, I will repeat over here. On 14th of June 1964, the government of India had added one more ministry, had added one more another department to the cabinet ministry, which is called as the Ministry of Social Welfare. So what does this department do? It brings about various programs. For example, they try to bring in nutrition and child development. Here, nutrition and child development means कि जो बच्चे जो poverty line के नीचे है, for those students who are there in the slum areas and they go to the municipal schools and colleges, वहाँ पे जो उनको midday meals provide किए जा रहे हैं, they should be nutritious enough. More than that, social security has to be looked after and social protection for women. These are some of the things which the Ministry of Social Welfare it tries to achieve. Next is about the scheduled caste and the scheduled tribes. Now, by the time it was 1971, 22% of India's population was below the poverty line. These were scheduled caste and the scheduled tribe people. तो ये लोग जो बिलो पॉवर्टी लाइन के नीचे है उनको ऊपर कैसे लाया जाए देन द गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया इट यूज्ड टू गिव एजुकेशनल स्कॉलरशिप्स टू दोस किड्स हु वर वेरी गुड एट लर्निंग. तो ऐसे बच्चों को जो रैंकर्स होते थे उनको फ्री में आगे की एजुकेशन दी जाती थी. उनके लिए सीट्स रिजर्व की जाती थी गवर्नमेंट जॉब्स के लिए. And in the parliament as well as in the state legislative assemblies, their seats were being reserved so that they can come ahead and they can participate even in the politics. Next is about the public health. So the Ministry of Health and the Social Welfare, दो डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं सेंट्रल लेवल की सरकार में. एक होता है मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हेल्थ और दूसरा है द सोशल वेलफेयर मिनिस्ट्री. तो ये दोनों डिपार्टमेंट्स ट्राई करते हैं कि जहां तक हो सके एटलीस्ट जो प्राइमरी हेल्थ फैसिलिटीज है वो लोगों तक पहुंचे रूरल एरियाज में. So in the rural areas where there are hardly any dispensaries, wherein there are hardly any medical houses, वहां पे एटलीस्ट जो बेसिक मेडिकल सर्विसेज है वो उनको फ्री में पहुंचाई जाए. Next, in the sixth 5 year plan, when we had the sixth Prime Minister of India coming up, जब भी उन्होंने अपना 5 year plan बनाया, the sixth 5 year plan, he tries to focus on various other streams of medicines, such as the Unani medicine, homeopathy, Ayurveda, and even naturopathy. And then at the end, it was allopathy. तो ये सारी जो मेडिकल स्ट्रीम्स में मेडिसिन में जो रिसर्च होना चाहिए They are trying to uplift all these sections by the time it is sixth 5-year plan coming up. Most importantly over here, before 1962, most of the Indians they used to go outside India for their surgeries. Usually post इंडिपेंडेंस के बाद 1962 के पहले अगर किसी को कोई मेजर हार्ट सर्जरी करवाना होता था या उनको कोई भी मेजर सर्जरी करवाना होता था, these Indians used to usually go abroad. But all thankfulness for our medical successes, in today's date, India is the cheapest country that we see today. In case if you want to get any surgery to be done or you want to get any medical treatment to be done, यहाँ के डॉक्टर्स सबसे कम प्राइसेस में वो अपने पेशेंट्स को सर्व करते हैं. We are so capable enough now in the world. So by the time it was 1962, we see that the first open heart success By the time it was 1962, the first successful open heart surgery was being performed under the leadership of Dr. N. Gopinath at the Christian Medical College, which is there in Vellore in Tamil Nadu. तो वहां पे पहली बार ओपन हार्ट सर्जरी हुआ था. Later on, we see that there was yet another foundation called as the Jaipur Foot. Now, what is Jaipur Foot Foundation? There was one doctor, his name was Dr. Pramod Sethi. तो डॉक्टर प्रमोद सेठी जो एक डॉक्टर थे, वो एक क्राफ्ट्समैन के साथ बैठते हैं जो मोची था, जो क्राफ्ट्समैन था, उसके साथ वो बैठे थे, जिसका नाम था रामचंद्र शर्मा. So Dr. Pramod Sethi, he sits with a craftsman called as Ram Chandra Sharma. और ये रामचंद्र शर्मा के साथ बैठ के वो आर्टिफिशियल लिम्स, आर्टिफिशियल पैर, आर्टिफिशियल नाक, आर्टिफिशियल कान ये सब बनाना शुरू करते हैं. And for those people who used to lose their legs, used to lose their hands, who used to lose their ears in some kind of an accident, उनको ये आर्टिफिशियल लिम्स से उनको फिक्स किया जाता था. And then for the rest of their lives, they were not handicapped, they were not disabled, but they can properly walk barefooted even on the rough surfaces. They could go for cycling, they could go for swimming, they could climb trees, they could climb mountains, and they could do anywhere whatever they wanted. Okay, so that was the work of the Jaipur Foot organization then. Next, we'll move on to the kidney transplant. If you can see here, before 1971, most of the Indians, as I told you, they used to go abroad in order to get any surgeries being done. In the year 1971, again, the same college, again, I will repeat, the name of this college is the Medical College, which is there at Vellore in Tamil Nadu. उनके जो चेयरमैन थे डॉक्टर जॉनी एंड डॉक्टर मोहन राव, इन दोनों ने मिलके एक किडनी ट्रांसप्लांट का सर्जरी किया था. सो देयर वाज अ लिविंग पर्सन. यूजुअली इंसान के पास दो किडनीज होती है. सो इवन इफ यू रिमूव वन ऑफ द किडनी फ्रॉम योर बॉडी, you can still survive on one kidney that you have. So you can donate one of your kidney to any patient who is in need. So here, the very first kidney transplant which was being done, it was being done at the medical college at Vellore again. So there was a living person, his kidney was being removed, and it was being given to one of the patients who was in need. So that patient, he finally gets one of the kidneys with which he can survive for the rest of his life. Next, we had the first successful test tube baby which had been produced for those couples, okay, who could not have their own babies, who could not have their own child, maybe through the body cycle as the person gets aged beyond 30, especially a female when she gets aged beyond 30, and even a guy when he goes beyond 30, we see that the fertility rate it decreases. So at this point of time, when the couples they could not have their own babies, through the method of test tube baby for those helpless couples who wanted their own child, उनको ये फिर टेस्ट ट्यूब बेबी जो था वो सक्सेसफुली परफॉर्म हुआ था. It had been successfully performed then in the year 1978 under the supervision of Dr. Subhash Mukhopadhyay. So the very first test tube baby, her name was, she was a girl. She was being produced by a couple, and the name of that girl was Durga. Next, we'll talk about the immunization program. Now, talking about immunization program, these days the word is being used a lot. Right now, we are going through a pandemic that is about coronavirus. So, if you develop a vaccine against it, then for sure you get immune to that disease. मतलब आगे जाके वो वायरस अगर तुम्हारी बॉडी में आता भी है, तो वो तुम्हें ज्यादा अफेक्ट नहीं करेगा तुम्हारी बॉडी को. So that is what you call it as immunization. So there were various fatal diseases in India, deadly diseases in India, especially for the kids inside the country. तो एक बच्चा जब भी 1 साल का होता था, usually out of 10 kids who were born in India, 6 of the kids used to die because of the diseases such as polio, measles, or maybe even because of diarrhea or TB or because of whooping cough. But later on, by the time it was 1978, we had proper immunization programs. We used to have proper vaccines for that. तो बच्चा पैदा हुआ उसके पहले ही साल में उसको वो सारे वैक्सीन्स दे दिए जाते हैं because of which he gets immune to all those viruses which they enter into his body. Okay. Yes, so you have BCG injections and so on. So the question has been asked by Shania. She is asking that does it mean that a girl or a guy can't have their own babies after the age of 30? They can for sure have babies after the age of 30, but we see that after the age of 30, the fertility rate it keeps on decreasing. So after a certain age, maybe by the time they are beyond 35 or beyond 40, it's difficult for them. So there are many procedures. It's just not test tube baby. By this time, we have many other procedures through which the couple can then have the baby. Okay, fine. So we'll move ahead with the next part, that is urbanization. Now, talking about urbanization, I want you people to focus on this part. I cannot find that statement. Okay, here. I'll just skip on to this page right now. I want to show you these two lines over here. They are very important. And then we'll switch on to that topic again. Okay, these are very two shocking lines if you just see over here. In the year 1961, 1961 में, that is just 40 years before from now, 2021 से कुछ 40 साल अगर तुम approximate पीछे जाते हो, 82% of India's population used to live in villages. Next, in the year 1971, that is just some 30 years from now, so uh, 30 years before 2020, we see that 80.01% of India's population used to live in the villages. तो अचानक से ऐसा क्या हुआ कि ये पूरा विलेज का पॉपुलेशन अचानक से सिटीज में आके रहने लगा? There were reasons behind it. We see that the modern facilities, apart from that, talking about livelihood, jobs milna, they were more in the urban areas, this part. In the post independence period, we see कि धीरे धीरे 1961 से लेके 1971 तक उसके बाद हम देखते हैं that the population from the rural areas is going towards the urban areas. It's going towards the towns and the cities. So what happened suddenly? First, there was too much of scientific progress. Suddenly, we see that there was a reduction in the mortality rate. लोग कम मरते थे क्योंकि साइंस आगे बढ़ चुका था. Because of the immunization programs, the mortality rate decreased. लोग कम मरते थे. Industrialization शुरू हुआ. In the cities, in the towns, there were more and more of factories and industries which opened up. तो ये फैक्ट्रीज और ये इंडस्ट्रीज में अगर तुम काम करोगे तो तुम्हें पैसे मिलेंगे. दिस इंडस्ट्रियलाइजेशन डिडंट टेक प्लेस इन अ रूरल एरिया. ये गांव खेड़े में नहीं हुआ, ये शहरों में हुआ. तो लोग गांव छोड़ के शहर में जाने लगे so that they get a good means of livelihood, and more than that they get some job opportunities. If they get these jobs in industries and factories, they can earn money, and that is the reason why they left their villages and they went to the city areas. Okay, so that is one of the reasons why we see that there was too much of urbanization. There was more and more of economic development happening in urban areas. There were metros which were being established, and that is why there was more and more of urbanization. Now we'll move on to the village area. Village areas are very, you know, different throughout the country. You will not see uniformity of villages throughout the country. तुम इंडिया के नॉर्थ में जाओगे, you will find lush green villages everywhere, maybe at times even snow-cladded villages. If you go to India's west, if you go to Gujarat, Rajasthan, the villages are very different over there. If you go to India's south, the villages are very different over there. What is more important is कि गांव खेड़े में जहाँ पे farmlands हुआ करते थे, where there used to be huge big farms, उन farmlands के आजू बाजू में, वो farm के border areas में, there used to be villagers who used to settle down over there. These villagers who used to settle down on the borders of the farm area, ये वहां पे ही अपना घर बसा लेते थे, जिसको हम लोग hamlet बोलते हैं. So besides the farmlands, farmlands के border areas पे जहाँ पे ये गांव वाले बसते थे, ऐसे गांव के areas को हम hamlets बोलते हैं. Now in the post independence period, इंडिया की सरकार ने बहुत ट्राई किया कि वो ये गांव खेड़े को ऊपर लेकर आए. They tried to bring about more and more of development in these villages. So how was the development being brought? There was farming technology which was being introduced in the villages. जहाँ पे पहले सिर्फ बैलगाड़ी को यूज किया जाता था वो खेत को प्लाव करने के लिए. Now instead of animals, we now started using tractors and machines in order to plow the entire farmland. More than the manpower and the animal power, we tried to replace it with the machine power. We tried to irrigate more and more of land masses. जहाँ पे गाँव खेड़े में खेतों में जहाँ पे पानी पहुंचाना बहुत मुश्किल होता था, we have tried to connect those farmlands with canals, with pipelines, so that we can provide maximum water to those field areas and we can conduct the agriculture. We tried to extend the educational services throughout the villages, and we tried to bring about some land reforms inside the village. So this is how we tried to uplift the entire village area. Talking about transportation, I'm so sorry, it just got disconnected. Okay, so in the post-independence period, all thankfulness to our government departments, we have tried to bring about Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samiti and the Zilla Parishads. तो एक गांव के लिए जो सरकार होती है उसको ग्राम पंचायत बोलते हैं. When many of the villages they come together, they form a block. At the block level, we have another government system which we call it as the Panchayat Samiti. And then when many blocks they come together, they form a district. तो एक डिस्ट्रिक्ट लेवल के लिए फिर हमारे पास जिला परिषद होता है. Through Gram Panchayats, Panchayat Samiti, and the Zilla Parishad, the government of India has given these bodies more and more of power. ग्राम पंचायत, पंचायत समिति, जिला परिषद को जितना हो सके उतना ज्यादा पैसा दिया, उतना ज्यादा उनको अच्छे पढ़े लिखे लोग प्रोवाइड किए, so that they can develop the villages. If the villages they develop, people will not move from the villages to the urban areas. So this is what we are trying to do after the independence period. Okay, so that's one of the parts. Then we have the rural areas. Okay, for today, we'll end the lecture over here. In case if you have any doubts, you can stay back for the class and the rest of the people can leave then. So Honey has asked this question, what is the meaning of the test tube baby? So basically, without the male and the female coming into any physical contact with each other, the sperm out of the male's body is removed and the egg out of the female's body is removed. Both of them they are fertilized in a lab, and then the same is inserted into the female's body so that she can get pregnant then. Okay, that is what you call it as a test tube baby. I hope, Honey, your question has been answered. Fine, then we'll end the lecture for today. There is another question which has been asked by Purnima. She's from Ghatkopar. That what is the meaning of allopathy? Allopathy means the medicines which you buy from the medical shops. जो क्रोसिन कॉम्बिफ्लम ये जो medicines तुम buy करते हो, these are allopathy medicines. जो एक MBBS डॉक्टर तुम्हें medicines लिख के देता है, prescribe करके देता है, उसको हम allopathy बोलते हैं. Homeopathy is different from allopathy. So there is yet another question. Homeopathy is different. उसमें oils use किए जाते हैं in the tablets as per your, they customize the medicines for you as per your disease, and it's very different from allopathy. Okay, there are oils which are put into your medicines and then they have been given to you. I hope Purnima, your question has been answered. Soham, are you still there online from Ghatkopar? If you can just reply in the chat box. Okay. So the last part which you have not understood, can you just tell me the last part which you have not understood? Under which heading? If you can just reply in the chat box. The last part which we discussed was about एजुकेशन फैसिलिटी कम था, गांव में जॉब्स नहीं मिलती थी, गांव में मॉडर्नाइजेशन नहीं था, रेलवेज नहीं थे, मेडिकल फैसिलिटीज नहीं थी, because of which people they left the village areas, and that is why they go to the cities and the towns, which we call it as urbanization. Okay, fine. So I hope there are no other queries. If they are, then I'm still there for a minute more, or else we'll end the lecture. Yes, the rest of the people can leave then.